What's up, y'all? It is your girl, Sarah from Sarah Styles here. Today, I am going to be looking at the data, looking at the facts to see how this pandemic is affecting resellers and making my recommendations on what you should be doing to keep your business afloat during this time. So stay tuned to learn more. Thank you so much for joining today. If you are new here, I am a reseller on various different platforms, and I also have a degree in mathematics. And so my channel and my Instagram focus on data analytics to help the reseller meet their monetary goals. Whatever that is, everybody has a different goal, but looking at the data to help you get there. I also have 2 analytical dashboards that will help you look at your specific data. I will be looking at one of them today for my data as well and kind of show you what's in it. Lots of those videos on my channel. Always feel free to send me questions on Instagram if you have them as well. The link to purchase those are down below on my Etsy site, and I'm currently doing a 50% off. Since you're home, it's no better time than to be looking at your data and figuring out what you can be doing to stay afloat and to maybe pivot your business a little bit to make the money and hit your monetary goals. So the links for those are down below. The code is SPRING, all capital letters, to use on Etsy. It's good for this month. I may prolong it. So if you're watching this in the recording, definitely feel free to send me a DM if that time frame is up and see if I have any other promotions going on. So today, if you like content like this, make sure to subscribe. If you are already a subscriber, thank you so much for joining me today. Make sure to give a thumbs up on your way out. Leave comments down below if you have further questions or just a, hey, Sarah, I like content like this. Keep it coming so I know what you guys like. And leave your closet name down below. I also want this to be a community, so leave your closet name, share each other's closets, and all of that. We can come together in this time to support each other. Today, I am looking at data analytics about how this pandemic is affecting specifically the reseller. I collected sample data, so I had a survey up for about 3 days. It was completely anonymous, and I asked resellers, fill this out so I can actually look at specific to resellers, what is happening out there. We've heard, 10, 20, I've heard up to 30% of people are going to be unemployed by the end of April. Lots of things happening in the economy, e-commerce, but then there's mixed things about what that means for resellers because now people can't be out shopping. So does that mean that they're online sourcing? And so, what is happening specific for resellers? So that's why I wanted to look at the data. I'm going to dig deep into the data, show you the analysis that I did off of the sample data and make my recommendations based off of that. And then I will also dig deep into my data and show you some of the things that I'm going to be switching in my business to stay afloat and continue to hit my monetary goals during this time. So let's dig into the data. This is the data, and first I want to kind of show you the type of population that we're working out. It was a small sample. I'm not a huge, influencer, and so I didn't get, it was about 40 people filled out this survey. So I want to kind of show you the type of people that we're looking at. I feel like, it's not a ginormous survey, but I think there was enough of the trends to be able to look at this information, and I do think that it is valuable information for us. So the types of sellers that we were looking at, so I looked at February versus March, kind of what is happening with their business. For me personally, I have 3 children at home now, remote learning. We are also in the process of moving, so I'm actually working less hours. And I'm wondering if people who are making less money reselling were working less hours, or now that they're home, I've heard people say they can work more hours and all of that. So from the sample that I looked at, 18% were working less hours, which was really surprising to me. I thought it was going to be more. 70% are working the same amount of hours, and 10% of the population that I looked at are working more hours. This was really exciting for me because the majority of the people are working the same amount of hours, which means that when we're looking at February numbers versus March numbers, it's a level playing field. If you're making less sales because you're working less, that's a pretty easy correlation there. And it's hard to know if there's other underlying issues. If we are looking at people who are making the same amount of sales, or people who are spending the same amount of time, business is going on as usual for them, then when things are changing in their business, we can actually look and say, hey, something else is going on because you guys are working the same amount of hours. And so that's where this next chart comes in. For the purpose of this chart, I only looked at people who are working the same amount of hours because they are doing the same amount of things from February to March, minus, the pandemic and what's been going on. Not much has changed for them. So their monthly sales, this is the total amount of sales that they were making, quantity sold, not revenue, just quantity sold. And they were selling 16% more items than they were selling in February, which is really exciting news because people are online shopping. That's exciting. I am having less sales, but I'm also working less. And so the people who are doing the same thing in February and the same thing in March, they are actually getting 16% more sales. People are at home. They can't go out shopping. They can't go to the store. So they're driving their traffic to e-commerce, which for our business is really exciting news. But from there, I wanted to look at, okay, so people are online shopping. However, 30% of people by the end of April are losing their jobs. There's a stimulus coming out right now. So people are, what is happening with the spending? And from that, so I broke it into the people who are working less hours, the people who are working more hours, and the people that are working the same amount of average. What is their average sale price doing? On average, how much are people spending from February to March? And you can see in each one of these categories, average sale price is down. And this totally makes sense to me. People are buying more things online because they cannot be out at the store purchasing them. However, they are not spending as much money. During a pandemic, during people losing their jobs, and even if you're not the 20 to 30% of people that are losing your jobs, you may have had your hours cut. You may be nervous that you're going to be losing your job. And so while you are out buying things, the total amount of sales was higher, you're probably being a little bit more diligent with your money. So this is something, and we'll look at my data in a minute. This is something that really caught my eye, and I'm going to pivot my business a little bit based off of this. The next thing, so your average sale price is gone down. What does that mean? What types of things are people purchasing? I broke it into clothing, jewelry, and then non-clothing items. From February to March, what types of things were people buying? They're still out there purchasing items, right? But what kinds of items are they purchasing, and how can you use that to your benefit in things that you are putting up on your reselling platforms? So clothing, I just caught this, the shoes and accessories, that is mislabeled. So just ignore that. Yeah, that's weird. Just ignore that. Sorry about that. But anyway, so the rest of this is right because I looked at it before. I just missed the label. I had that wrong. Anyway. So what types of things are people buying? Clothing is down from February to March. Clothing is down 5%. And this encompassed all types of clothing. And this is where I'm going to show you my data, where I'm going to dig deep into what specifically I'm selling, how specifically my stuff is doing, and what I'm going to do based off of this analysis, what I'm going to do to pivot my business to keep hitting my monetary goals. Clothing is down. Non-clothing is up. And this makes sense. People cannot be out shopping. Non-clothing, for the purpose of this video, most people who are selling non-clothing items were selling video games, books, and home goods. Makes total sense. People are at home right now. They cannot be out going to Target or Walmart buying video games. They are trying to be more cognizant with their money, so they're going to go to reselling platforms to purchase used video games or used books, things that they can be doing while they're at home, spending less money on them, but still out there spending the money. So that is the analytics survey that I did. I think it's very useful information, and it's actually really exciting. My sales, like I said, I did my video, it's up on my channel about how my sales were in March, and my sales were down. However, I worked probably a fourth of the amount of time on my reselling business than I normally do because children were home, because we are in the process of selling and buying a new home. So for me, I was working less time. If you're working the same amount of time, this is all really good news, I think, because people are still out there spending money, but you may have to pivot what you are doing during this time to continue to meet those monetary goals. Looking at your data, and I'm going to show you now my data. Let me pull that up. I'm going to show you my data so that you can see what I look at and what you can look at to see what you can change for your business. All right, so now this is my data. This is the dashboard that I sell. This is the inventory dashboard. If you sell on Poshmark, only on Poshmark, it is a copy and paste into the dashboard, your sales report, your inventory report. If you sell on other platforms, you can manually enter in the information as well if you're comfortable in Google Docs. It is working on other dashboards as well too. So if you're interested in these types of products and data analytics for the resellers, make sure to subscribe to follow what's going on there. So what I did here is I looked at February 10th through March 9th. So pre-pandemic, everything was going on. What was going on for me there to post, shit goes down. What is happening to my data? The things that we were seeing on the high level survey is that what is happening for me? And it is. You can look, I sell mainly women, so that's really specifically what I'm looking for. This men's down here is likely 1 or 2 items, so it's not a true indicator of what's really happening for me. I don't sell a lot of men's. You can see over here, February to March, I didn't, at 4%, not a ton. Over here, it's 2%. So women, I sell specifically women items, and you can see my average sale price is going down. For me, that is not $1 average sale price isn't a huge decrease. However, I'm going to note February 10th through March 9th, because I knew that we were moving. I have been trying to really get rid of a lot of stale inventory. So this average sale price for me in general is lower than my average sale price normally is. It's usually closer to $40 because I was trying to get rid of stale inventory to get rid of it. But even from there, in general, my average sale price is going down. And then I wanted to look at, okay, what's happening? What categories is this affecting? What categories is this affecting? What should I do to pivot my business to ensure that I'm hitting my monetary goals? And I'm going to say, if you don't follow me, I aim to be a high average sale price seller. So I focus on categories that have high average sale prices, and I don't mind so much if they sit for a little bit longer. Because I do social media and my dashboard, and I'm also like a full-time mom. I stay at home with my children, and now they're remote learning. When things sell, I'm not spending a ton of time on reselling activities. When things sell, I want them to sell high. That has been my strategy in the past. I'm looking at my data, paying attention to the data analysis that I just did, and seeing what that means for my business. Do I need to pivot things to continue to bring in the revenue that I want? So here you can see shoes. See if I can make this a little bigger for you guys. Yeah, okay. So here you can see, like I said, I focus on average sale price. The main categories that I sell are shoes, bags, and dresses. And you can see my shoes average sale price has gone down between the 2 periods. Bags has actually gone up. And surprisingly, I am actually selling a reasonable amount of bags during the pandemic. I'm not sure where people are going that they need, $100 Coach bags, but I will take it. And this is why it's important to look at your data, because my data is not showing that everything is decreasing in average sale price. Some of my categories are, some of my categories are not. Dresses is definitely decreasing in my average sale price. So those are the 3 categories that historically I have been focusing on selling, picking up, sourcing. But moving forward, one, I cannot be outsourcing. So I'm having to find new ways to source. And that is essentially meaning sourcing online. I possibly might have access to a really big kind of wholesale lot, but I don't know that I want to do it because of the type of items that it is. It's a lot of like tops and pants. I mean, there's also some dresses in there, all new with tags, which is exciting, but not necessarily, like I don't sell a lot of tops, because if you look down here, my average sale price for tops is $21 or $24. And that is, I aim for around a $40 average sale price right now. That is about half of that. So I don't really focus on tops. However, let's go, this is what my data was doing in the past. I want to look at, okay, so now I am looking at historically last year from April to September, so spring to summer, what was selling in my closet. Now, granted, some things that have changing, we talked about with the pandemic, people are still shopping, but they're spending less. So I need to figure out what categories for me are selling quickly and selling possibly at lower average sale prices. And this is what I'm going to be doing to pivot my business. These higher average sale price items aren't necessarily selling, and they're going to be taking a lot longer to sell. That is not the case with my bags, so I will keep business as usual with bags. However, my shoes and my dresses, the average sale price is lowering there. So I want to look at what categories are selling a lot of, my sell-through rate from what I'm purchasing, what is selling a lot of. In the past, that's something that I kind of focus on, but first I look at my high average sale prices, and now I'm not going to be as concerned with my average sale price because I know people are spending less money. So I want things that people want and that people are going to sell. If I'm purchasing, 100 tops and I'm selling 99 of those are the categories that I want to be looking at right now, regardless of the average sale price. And so for me, and then also my days on hand. So in this environment, I am going to be focusing on things that are selling fast, quick flips, because their average sale price is low. If you're going to keep something on hand, having inventory on hand, you're losing money. I don't mind it when something's selling for $100. If it takes 3 months, even 5 months to find that specific person who wants to spend $100, I'm okay with that. If I am only making $15 to $20 on an item, in and out the door, that is where I'm going to be pivoting my business a little bit. And that's where I'm looking at my average days on hand here. So this is the data that we are looking at now. Again, this is the inventory dashboard that we are looking at. This is specific to PoshMark. I do sell on eBay as well. That has only slowly been ramping up in the past few months. So this analysis is not looking at that data. This is mainly PoshMark, and I didn't sell on eBay last year to be looking at that. So I'm looking at 2019, spring and summer, what was selling during those seasons for me, what were quick flips, what were low average sale prices, or regardless of the average sale price, what were high sell-through rates, what was I selling from what I was purchasing, what was I selling a lot of. Things that have low days on hand. So let's look at the lower. So a lot of these pants are in the 40s. And honestly, I don't buy a lot of pants. Maybe not. So this is probably going into the fall, the August, September timeframe, where people are starting to buy for school. So I'm going to look at my pants. I'm going to figure out what categories I want here. And then I'm going to dig a little bit deeper, look into sizes, and then look into subcategories, because now I'm going to be sourcing online. And I can go click exactly what I want, what sizes are working for me, so that I'm not spending money. Things are tight right now. Keeping your expenses low, so then when you are selling something, that profit that you're bringing in is higher. I want to be very diligent with what I am sourcing online and make sure that it is things that are selling for me and things that people want. So low days on hand, pants are down there, shoes are in the 50s, jewelry, this is accessories that I sell. I don't do a lot of jewelry. I do a lot of people donate jewelry to me, so I'll include it free with bundles. So I don't really specifically sell jewelry, so I'm not going to pay attention to that. Swimwear surprisingly is up 72. That's kind of long. I was considering doing swimwear, but I'm also going to look at my sell-through rate and see how well it sells for me. Dresses is the 50s, bags is the 50s. So those are things that I focus on. The average sale price for those may come down. Pants is in the 40s. And then I wanted to look at tops. tops is in the 50s. So those are categories that are selling quick flips. 50 days is like a month and a half. That's a pretty quick flip for a part-time seller. So I may, like I said, I do shoes, bags, and purses. No, purses are bags. I do shoes, bags, and dresses during the summer. Bags, I'm going to keep business as usual. It looks like people are still spending that. I'm going to, dresses were a low days on hand as well, but I'm going to look into maybe diversifying and bringing in new inventory, and that's where I'm looking at my sell-through rate. So for this time period last year, my average sell-through rate was 50%. Anything over this 50% means that I was selling these better than my average. Closer to 100 means I sold 100%, would mean every item in this category that I purchased, I sold it. So that's what I'm aiming for, is 100. And so what categories have those high sell-through rates? For me, shorts, and I never pick up shorts. The average sale price on shorts is usually very low. Max $20, even if it's like a good brand. So I rarely pick up shorts. However, shorts are really easy to photograph. During summer and spring, I'm selling 75% of those last summer and spring. This year, people aren't able to go out in the stores and buy the shorts. So I would venture to say that the demand for shorts is going to be higher. So I think I am going to, and I'm going to dig deeper into this as well, like what kinds of shorts and what sizes of shorts do I want to purchase. But shorts, 75%, that's a high sell-through rate, much higher than my average. Pants is up there as well. This is going to be August and September. So these are things that I will be sourcing going into the fall. But I can be sourcing them now. If you're buying things before they need the demand, you can usually get them for lower prices. So I will look into getting some pants. Tops, 64%, that's higher. I don't buy a lot of tops, to be honest. And that's because they have a lower average sale price. However, people are spending less money right now. They can't be outsourcing. I'm going to look into sourcing some tops and see how that does for me. Skirts are up there, and swimwear is 92%. So even though it maybe sat a little bit longer, and that could possibly be because I was buying things in the winter and so they weren't, and now I'm going to be buying them. Hopefully they will be selling. Looking into swimwear, skirts, tops, pants, and shorts. Those are all categories that I normally just steer away from. My sell-through rates for those are high. My average days on hand for those are high. And they are, swim, it depends on what brands you're getting. Skirts, tops, and shorts definitely are lower average sale prices. Here, we'll go up here. Are definitely lower average sale price than I usually like. My average sale price for swim is around $20. Skirts is $26, but that's much lower than the $40 I like to go for. My current average sale price last month was like $33, so that's lower. Normally, I would steer away from that. Tops are $19, pants are $24. So those average sale prices are lower than I usually like. I like the $62 bag price, which I'm going to still do, but I'm going to steer into try and source some of these lower average sale price because my sell-through rate is higher. And the the analysis that I did, prior to looking at my data, people are still spending, but they're spending less. So doing more of these average sale price items is going to sell. I'm going to have to figure out ways to hurry or to increase my efficiencies, because if I'm not making as much money, I need to be listing things quicker to hit the same, hourly rate that I like to hit. So now that I did that, I want to look at those categories. I don't normally source those categories a whole lot. Here and there, I will buy things. Last year, I was a little bit more before I really focused on my data. So this is a good way to look at it. What sizes in these categories are selling for me? So sizes that don't, and this, I noticed this with my data in general, these small sizes don't sell great. So I have a size 2, 29, that's surprising. I think that's something that I have recently listed. But look at this, shorts, 100%. All of these sizes, 100%. Look at these days on hand. With the exception of this juniors, which I find that juniors sizing sits longer. I've actually started to, if it's a junior size, put it into like a medium, because I don't think people specifically search for juniors. So I think that's the 69 days there. But look at these average days on hand. Like, that's craziness. And people can't be outsourcing right, or can't be out shopping at stores right now too. 100% shorts. So while I don't normally sell shorts, that 100% sell-through rate is killer. Let's look at, so I'm not going to go through all of these for the sake of time for this video, but I wanted to show you what I'm looking at to help me decide what I'm going to go out and source for now. It's a different playing field. I do this in normal when I go to the thrift stores to help guide me, but now my options are so much bigger. I can go onto PoshMark, I can go onto ThredUp, I can go onto wholesale websites and specifically pick what I want. And now more than ever, if I'm going to be spending money on inventory, I don't want it sitting. I don't want it holed up because people are spending less money. I want it to sell. I want it to give it the best chance that it has. Dresses, so what size dresses are selling for me? Like I said, these 100% is definitely things that you like to see. 100%, these bigger sizes, and a 4P, that's surprising. Petites I have a hard time selling, but look at this, extra smalls and small. Those smaller sizes for me, I have a hard time. I do have the best luck with these larges, 63%, 75. Oh, that 0 is because I only have, I didn't have a lot of that. So then you can scroll over and see the 0 right here. I only had 4 of those. So that is swayed a little bit as well because there's only 4 of them. But these medium larges, size 8, size 6, I find those a lot and those sell high for me, or a high sell-through rate. The days on hand for those are also, under 3 months. This one is right at a month. So those are the sizes I'm going to be looking at. When I go out, I can search specifically if I'm going to source from Poshmark. I did a live video with a panel talking about online sourcing, so definitely make sure to check that out to see ways that you can be sourcing right now. But I can go on to eBay auctions and say, filter out what I want. I want dresses. I want dresses in this size. I can also look at my top brands during these categories. What brands were selling. My top revenue brands, Coach, like I said, purses, that's always a high one for me, but vintage was selling. Columbia is up there. Lululemon is up there. These are brands that I can say these brands sell for me. I know what to look for these brands. And that makes me feel a lot more comfortable right now too, because I can't be feeling things. I can't be like when you're at the thrift store, you can look at things and, research and figure it out. I can look at purses for sure. I know how to figure out if they're real. But buying online, I get a little bit nervous of not being able to touch and feel it. So I'm really going to stick with what I know. I know these brands. I know what types of things sell from these brands. I don't have to touch or feel it to know that it's a good quality, know that it's a brand that I like. J. Crew is up there. Citizens of Humanity. Those are shorts. So when I say, okay, I'm going to find shorts, what brand of shorts, I'm going to search. I'm going to go on these different places, search for Citizens of Humanity, search it in size medium and large, and then let's come over here and look at my subcategories. Shorts, what types of shorts sold well for me? Cargos is 100%, which is weird because cargos are so ugly. I'll have to look and see what kind of cargos those are. But jean shorts, 77%. Bermudas are only at 67%. So I will probably, Citizens of Humanity are probably mostly jeans, right? Those are the ones that I sold. Jean shorts, 77%. These average sale prices are lower than my others, but these are quick flips. These are low days on hand. These are high sell-through rates for me. This is where I'm pivoting my business right now to continue to bring in that revenue that I want to be making. The one thing I am going to say on these jean shorts, a real quick tip, something that I was doing a lot last year with those Citizens of Humanity, and I can look for sourcing that now. I would find Citizens of Humanity at the bins, or like we would have dollar days, and it would be $1 day at a thrift store, and everything would be $1 if it had been sitting at the thrift store for, X amount of days. Well, some of these brands in pants were styles that aren't really popular right now, so no one was buying them. So I would buy them for dollar days and then make them into cutoffs and distress them a little bit. I think there is a video. I did a video. I think it's on my Instagram on how to distress it. It can take you 5 minutes with things that you have at home. So check that out on my Instagram. I was getting things for $1. in nice brands and taking 5 minutes to cut them off and distress them to sell them. So that's a tip. You can look at pants that people aren't necessarily buying to do that. All right, so my recommendations based off of everything that we just looked at, it is a lot, based off of the sample data analysis, and then also talking with some other resellers. I'm doing a series with Daily Refinement. Definitely make sure to follow him, but he has been talking a little bit about this as well, moving into non-clothing type categories. He had mentioned in my live with him last week, eBay is actually up 40%. However, it's not necessarily in clothing and shoes. So if you are comfortable selling things, I mean, you can't do it all on Poshmark, but if you sell on other platforms, eBay is open to anything. If you're comfortable in selling other categories, you have inventory for other categories, you know how to source other categories, I would definitely consider doing that or start researching how to do that if that's something that you're interested in, you're comfortable in. I don't like doing that. I'm going to be 100% positive. If things continue and that is like my last resort, I might start looking into it. I am going to still stick with what I like, which is women's clothing, but I'm going to pivot my business based off of the data analysis that I did, and then also based off of my specific data. People are still purchasing items. They are purchasing things that they need and things at lower average sale prices. I am going to look into sourcing shorts, look into sourcing tops. Those are both high sell-through rates, low ASP, low days on hand. So while I steered clear of those in the past, I'm going to look at those now. I am going to continue business as usual with bags because bags are still continuing to sell at a decent sell-through rate for me and a high average sale price. I actually sold a bag yesterday for like $120. So I'm not going to steer clear of that. I also know how to source bags. I've already started looking online, knowing how to tell if they're real and the questions to ask if they're real is definitely very important, even more right now because you are buying online to where you can't look and feel it. So there's definitely some and definitely send me a question. I am by no means a pro in all of the brands, but I can tell you the things that I look at in some of the brands that I look at to tell if they are real. Very important in general, but definitely right now when you can't touch and feel it. A lot of times you can like touch it and be like, get it together, that's not real. Or you'll look at the lining and it's like crooked, right? But there are definitely, most brands have some kind of indicator to show that it is real. So I am kind of pivoting my business right now, and that is why it is so important to be looking at your data to see what is working for you to be able to pivot. I've had people on, Jamie from Does This Come in Gold, she came on a live for me. She's actually works in retail. And we talked about, what kind of advantages do these small businesses have? And one of the things that we have right now is I can pivot my business. And within 2 or 3 weeks, boom, I have all new inventory. I have a completely new business strategy that I can do, and I can pivot my business to change with the times, where big companies don't have that. They, it takes them 3 months to figure out what they're sourcing. They have probably already started sourcing their inventory for the fall. Big businesses don't do that. So take advantage of what you can in being a small business. People are still out there shopping. That is so exciting. Very good news. You may just have to pivot what you are doing with your business. Be willing to be fluid and make changes with the economy as things move and change. And overall, the most important thing is looking at your data. What is working for me is not necessarily going to work for you. The only way that you are going to know how to change things and what to change and what is working for you is looking at your data specifically. So I hope everyone is staying safe and sane out there. Leave notes down below. Let me know what you guys are doing right now to pivot your business. After this video, are there things that you're thinking you're going to change? I love hearing from everybody else. What works for me does not necessarily work for everybody. I like to share it with you to show you my thought process in how I'm coming up with my new business strategies so that you can do the same for your data as well, or maybe think about some of these questions. So I hope everyone is staying sane and safe out there in whatever capacity is best for you and your family, and I hope you are having a wonderful weekend.